Honorable Speaker, so that we conclude this debate this evening. And I would like to ask the chair of the committee to continue the good work he was doing, and therefore beg to move. It's a procedural motion, nothing much to say, and request the deputy whip of the minority, the Honorable Mwenje, the member for Embakasi West, where there's not a single coffee bush, but he was here last week. Honorable Speaker, it was so embarrassing on Thursday when we closed business. Besides the chair of the Agriculture Committee, and I think Honorable Pukose, is only the leadership that were here, about 8 people. On Thursday, the member for Githunguri was also not here. And she's among the people who are very good in shouting at funerals about coffee. She was not here on Thursday. So make sure the member for Githunguri, this afternoon you are here, this evening up to midnight. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I request Honorable Mwenje to second.
It cannot go unanswered.
I thought it wasn't done. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I just want to mention that although I represent a constituency where coffee is not grown, I'm also a coffee farmer in Kandara and Moranga. So my in-laws here who are busy mentioning it. And Honorable Speaker, it's important to mention that the biggest consumers of coffee is us in Nairobi. In fact, the KPCU plant is located just outside my constituency. Before it used to be in Embakasi, the larger constituency. So it's literally at the doorstep of actually my home in Molem. It's in, people call it Dandora, but it's actually Molem. So Honorable Speaker, I will be here and I second the motion. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Order, Honorable Bissau, take your seat. Honorable members, I now propose the question, which is that pursuant to Standing Order 33A, this House orders that should the time appointed for adjournment of the House be reached before conclusion of business listed as Order Number 13, Committee of the Whole House, in today's order paper, the sitting shall stand extended until conclusion of the said business. I'll now put the question, which is that pursuant to Standing Order 33A, this House orders that should the time appointed for adjournment of the House be reached before conclusion of business listed as Order Number 13, Committee of the Whole House, in today's order paper, the sitting shall stand extended until conclusion of the said business. As members of that opinion say aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. It means you will sit on this particular bill until you finish or until midnight, whichever comes early. So be ready for it. And if you want to know the importance of this legislation, go back to the law books of the 50s. When Mbiu Koinange was prosecuted by colonialists for attempting to grow coffee because it was an exclusive crop for colonial oppressors and settlers. So you are opening up for your people to grow coffee. And if you also want to know, a country called Vietnam imported Ruir 11 coffee from Kenya 20 years ago after being devastated by a harrowing war. Today, Vietnam is the second largest grower of Ruir coffee and any coffee in the world after Brazil, and are making billions of dollars. They got that from Kenya. So unlock the potential for our country. Next order. Yes, Donya. What is it, on the same issue?
Yes. Mr. Speaker, we are talking about coffee. I did a statement on tea bonuses, that is 2 months ago. I somehow pumped into the answers that the ministry had given to the Departmental Committee on Agriculture to give us an answer. If we are promoting coffee, we are promoting tea, Mr. Speaker. We have to be authentic on what we are giving. so that we see as members we are promoting the cash crops. But we are talking of coffee. The answers they have given on tea bonuses are fake, are opaque, Mr.
Order,
Speaker.
Honorable Donya. Order, Honorable Donya. The reason that we are not talking about coffee is not to the exclusion of any other crop. You just passed here a bill on sugar. We passed a bill last parliament on tea. And I saw your statement request. So if it is not adequately catered for, I'll direct Dr. Mutunga to respond to you tomorrow afternoon. Next order.
Order number 9, motion. Debate on the President's address, day 4.
Honorable members, before I call the next, allow me to acknowledge the following in the Speaker's gallery. 5 residents of Loyangalani sub-county in Laisamis constituency in the Speaker's gallery: John Pope, Mr. Dea Lentipan, Mr. Chechekuna Bonke, Mr. Marcelino Amatalem, Miss Evana Esekon, HSC, Head of State Commendation. You are welcome to the House of Parliament. On behalf of all of you and myself, on behalf of Honorable Lekuton, on behalf of Honorable Raso, who had requested me to welcome you, I welcome you, and I'll not give them a chance because we don't have the time. So Raso and Lekuton have spoken for you, and your constituents have heard me. Now, honorable members, like I said, the mover will be called upon to reply at 4. Can I see how many members have not spoken and wish to speak? Because the screen has very few members. We have few. Okay, we'll start with, was there anybody on the floor? Honorable Gashagwa, you had a balance of 3 minutes. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Before we broke for lunch, Mr. Speaker, I was contributing to this motion and to the address of the nation by the President, and I was almost concluding. Mr. Speaker, I am, Mr. Speaker, I wish to put across that the President did a great speech by addressing virtually all concerns by Kenyans. And Mr. Speaker, I would like to address the issue of this Adani issue, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as much as Adani issue was addressed and they were stopped doing business in Kenya, this should not condemn the issue of PPPs. Mr. Speaker, the issue of PPPs is the one that will unlock the deteriorating aspect of infrastructure in this country. Mr. Speaker, I believe that once we encourage the PPP engagement, that's when that our infrastructure will be improved. I have a dam in my area called Pesi. I believe, Mr. Speaker, with its amount, the required budget for that dam is almost 30 billion, 20 to 30 billion. Without PPP arrangement, it will be a tall order for the government to execute it. So as much as one entity was regarded unfit to work in this country, let us encourage this issue of PPPs. Mr. Speaker, I outlaid the indicators that this country is on the right path because of the good address to inflation and the dollar. But I wish, Mr. Speaker, that the way the government is saying that we have improved economically, I wish this aspect will add to the improvement of putting money in the pockets of Kenyans. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Timothy Toroitich.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving an opportunity to contribute on the President's State of the Nation address. Honorable Speaker, I have read the letter, the spirit and the intent of the address. Honorable Speaker, I wish to acknowledge that from the beginning, and in particular paragraph 6 of this address, the President said the following, that to my understanding, the concerns and issues voiced by Kenyans, voiced by millions of Kenyans about the state of our nation deserve meaningful engagement through understanding and thoughtful response. Honorable Speaker, from the beginning and from the preamble of the speech, it was very clear that the President has noted that there are challenges that Kenyans face in this country. Honorable Speaker, it is good that the President has acknowledged that there are certain challenges, and the purpose of this speech was for the President to assure and to reassure the nation that we are on the right trajectory. Honorable Speaker, the President touched on many things, on the issue of agriculture, affordable housing, and corruption. Honorable Speaker, on the issue of corruption, this House has an obligation to assist this President, to assist our President fight impunity and corruption. Honorable Speaker, as a House, we have an obligation. And the only way to fight corruption and impunity in this country is through a strong parliamentary oversight. Honorable Speaker, as a House, if we do not fight and if we don't stand firm and fight impunity and corruption in this country, then we shall be doing a disservice to Kenyans and the President in this country. Honorable Speaker, if you look clearly at the words of the President, these are carefully chosen words by the President. If you look at page 17, of this speech, Honorable Speaker, the President says this, that our national democratic culture expresses itself energetically through robust discourse, boldly speaking truth to power. Honorable Speaker, those are the words of the President. He said very clearly that this House and Kenyans must speak truth to power. Honorable Speaker, outside there is a perception by the members of the public that this House has become a rubber stamp of the executive, that this House has become a praise and worship of the executive. Honorable Speaker, that is the perception of Kenyans out there. And to redeem the image of this House, Honorable Speaker, we must not be a praise and worship as envisaged by the members of the public. Honorable Speaker, when it comes to the question of loyalty and the question of speaking the truth, Honorable Speaker, we should speak the truth at any moment, at any point as a House. Honorable Speaker, on the issue of Adani, Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the President for cancelling the Adani engagement. Honorable Speaker, if you look at the speech of the President, if you read carefully, under page 23, the President says this, that in the face of undisputed evidence of credible information on corruption.
Yes, KJ. Order, Timothy. KJ.
Mr. Speaker, it is not my intention to disrupt my very good friend, the Honorable Toroitich.
Go ahead, you have already disrupted him.
My question, Mr. Speaker, is whether the member is in order to say that the public envisions for this parliament to be a praise and worship choir. And I'm sure he did not mean that the public envisions this place to be such. And I hope that maybe it is his English that is failing him, because I know he's a lawyer. There is no way he would imagine that the public envisages this parliament to be a praise and worship choir for the executive, Mr. Speaker.
Timothy, is that what you said?
Honorable
I heard
Speaker,
the words praise
Honorable
and
Speaker,
worship.
if you listen carefully, I said outside there is a perception by the members of the public that this house is a rubber stamp of the executive. Honorable Speaker, that is a perception that is there in the public. Honorable Speaker, I therefore will not withdraw my words, and I have said that the only way to fight corruption and impunity in this country is through a strong parliamentary oversight. Honorable Speaker, if we lapse, and the only way we can assist our president to fight impunity and corruption is by oversighting the executive. Honorable Speaker, as a senior counsel, Montesquieu, when he talked about separation of powers in this country, he envisaged that there should be a legislature, an executive, and a judiciary. Honorable Speaker, we should play our oversight role without fear or any kind of intimidation so that we live up to the ideals of our role as members of parliament in this house. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
David Bowen.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity. And Mr. Speaker, the speech or the message the President read, Mr. Speaker, gave a message of hope to many Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, I want to point out some few issues which His Excellency the President talked about. Number one, Mr. Speaker, the issue of affordable housing. Mr. Speaker, we are looking at, in the next 20 or 30 years, over 70 or 60% of Kenyans will be living in urban areas. And Mr. Speaker, we cannot continue to be a country where majority of our people are living in slum areas. So, Mr. Speaker, the issue of affordable housing, Mr. Speaker, is very important, especially from the President's speech. Mr. Speaker, the President talked about the reforms which is currently happening in the health sector. The transformation of NHIF to SHA and SHIP, Mr. Speaker, is very important. Mr. Speaker, you can imagine, during the time of NHIF, all members of parliament, all of us, all the employed Kenyans, together with ordinary Kenyans, we are paying like 500 shillings, all of us. If you are earning 1 million shillings, those of us who are earning 20,000, those of us who are earning 2,000, we are contributing almost the same, 500 shillings. But now, Mr. Speaker, with the new health system through the SHA, Mr. Speaker, you will find that us who are earning more, we are able to carry other Kenyans who are earning low so that they benefit also with the Taifa Care. Mr. Speaker, we have a problem also with our education funding model, which has been there for the last almost 40 or 50 years. The reform which the President actually announced, Mr. Speaker, with the new model, will see that members of parliament who are here, they cannot be paying the same, their children cannot pay the same as those ordinary Kenyans. We are coming up with a model where the children from those families who are able, they are able to pay a bit more than those ones who are from the poor. Mr. Speaker, the message from the President, which I want to insist on the issue of corruption. Mr. Speaker, we need to deal with it. And we need to deal with it very firmly and seriously, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the issue of Adani, which the President cancelled during his speech here, it was very embarrassing that there was no serious background check. And now we know that our airport requires expansion. We need also to increase our electricity connectivity. But Mr. Speaker, as we do so, we need to follow the processes, let those who are involved to make sure that we don't get again ourselves into the embarrassing positions. So, Mr. Speaker, generally, I want to support the President's speech and say that, Mr. Speaker, as a House, also, we need to play our role and make sure that we check the executive properly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Anthony Wainaina.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity for me to put a word on and on the voice of the President, what he said. Mr. Speaker, looking at the speech of the President, all the 80 talking points were quite live, varied, and due to this point. Therefore, it may not be possible to hardline all the 80 talking points that the President talked about. However, may I, with your permission, put a few points that I think they are very varied in my constituency and in our country, Kenya. The matter of CBC, this is one area where the government has called much more than our expectation, in that the book ratio is 1-to-1 to the student. Although at the lower classes, the books are starting to wear out and they need maybe urgent refreshment. Mr. Speaker, on the matter of broad-based, unlike what we were told yesterday that the broad-based was formed and 4 professionals came. I really want to say that 4 Kenyans came, because Kenya is not short of any professionals. On fertilizer, this is an area that has really helped this country to maintain food security throughout the year. And in this case, I am told, and I have also seen it, that when I visited Busia some time ago, like 3 weeks ago, food was not crossing from Uganda to Kenya, but Kenyan food was crossing also to Uganda. This is as a result of subsidized fertilizer, and it has made food security in this country possible, and even possible for us to export outside our borders. On the matter of reasoning, that our president is a listening president, I would want to say that listening itself is an art in which it is not only learned in class, but it is a matter of character development. And I would want to say that our president listens until you exhaust what you really wanted to tell him. In this case, I want to encourage him to continue being such a wonderful listening president. We have much more to learn from him. On the matter of democratic space, this is a very wonderful area, and that is why we have investors not running away from Kenya, even when there is unnecessary noise in our country about this and that. But because we know it is democracy, and our visitors and our partners know we have a democracy, they have been able to tolerate and observe how we can do with our democratic space. However, on this matter, Mr. Speaker, I would want to say that anybody, although we have a democratic space in our country, those who are exercising the same must also exercise it with a lot of caution and a lot of goodwill to other Kenyans. We can get to a point where we exercise democracy and at the same time we risk the security of our nation. On my last point, that's the job creation in and outside the country. Mr. Speaker, I would wish that this parliament asked to witness all those students, all those workers who have gotten opportunities outside Kenya. It would be such a good gesture if, like our members of parliament, escort those going to the country, and in that case, it will be a witness to the whole nation and outside our country that it is happening and it has happened. Mr. Speaker, I really want to emphasize the need also for Adani. When we say about Adani, and this parliament
Your time is up. Elizabeth Kailemia.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to be able to talk on this speech by our President. The President's statement reflects a multifaceted approach addressing corruption, gender-based violence, economic stability through inflation control, educational empowerment via teacher hiring and healthcare accessibility through SHA initiatives. The President has made commitment to address corruption, particularly targeting leaders involved in malpracticing or misappropriating public funds. The focus on corruption is critical as it undermines public trust and diverts resources meant for development. The President's stance indicates a willingness to confront powerful critics and hold them accountable, which is essential for restoring integrity in governance. About femicide, the alarming rise in femicide or the killing of women based on their gender has prompted the President to pledge decisive action against perpetrators. The reference to the 16 Days of Activism campaign highlights an international effort aimed at raising awareness about gender-based violence and advocating for women's rights. This initiative seeks to mobilize communities and governments to take concrete steps towards preventing violence against women and ensuring justice for victims. The President's commitment suggests an acknowledgement of the severity of this issue and a determination to implement policies that protect women. On inflation, in addressing inflation, the President claims that there has been a decrease in the prices of basic commodities since he took office. This assertion is significant to inflation directly impacting the cost of living and economic stability. A reduction in inflation can indicate effective economic management and policies that support consumer purchasing power. However, it is a crucial analysis to analyze economic data from credible sources to verify these claims, as inflation rates can be influenced by various factors, including supply chain dynamics, government policy changes, and global market trends. On education, I want to applaud the President on the ongoing commitment to hiring teachers, reflects on understanding of the importance of education in national development by emphasizing empowerment through education. The administration aims to enhance teaching quality and accessibility. This initiative could lead to improved education outcomes, which are vital for fostering an acknowledgeable workforce capable of contributing to economic growth. On health insurance. The social health insurance, SHA, programs offers numerous benefits aimed at providing universal health coverage. By encouraging registration in SHA, individuals gain access to essential health services without facing financial hardship due to medical expenses. The emphasis on universal health care aligns with global health goals aimed at ensuring that all individuals have access to necessary health services. without without suffering financial difficulty.
Samuel Moroto.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for also giving me time to air what I have. I want to sincerely thank the President, him as a person, because I've known him for a long time and we've worked with him. He's a guy who is out to see to it that human beings, especially those Kenyans are here, are benefiting and they're improving in their lifestyle. But, Mr. Speaker, I have a problem with those people who are supposed to assist him to reach those objectives that the Kenyans are after, and are saying to see that they realize the good things from the President. For example, you've mentioned about the coffee in Trans Nzoia. But if you see what is happening now in Trans Nzoia, especially on the land issue, there is a lot of corruption cartels from the Ministry of Land themselves, selling out day and night. And I don't know where they're getting some title deeds given to people. Mr. Speaker, and yet there are officials, those people who are earning the taxes given by the Kenyans, and they're not seeing that. I think we need also to ask the President to deal with these people here. There are many other Kenyans who are sincere and wish to work and help Kenyans in Kenya. Like now, the way you're working, Mr. Speaker, and your team in this parliament. There was a time when members of this parliament, honorable members, were fighting, even from here. But from the time you and your team, you see now everything is just running smoothly. People can stay up to midnight without any problem because of leadership, not any other thing. So, Mr. Speaker, I just want to wish that all the committees, especially the chairs and the leadership of this House, especially those who are closer to the President, let us be bold enough and tell the President he has to get rid of these people here and get the right people who can work. I don't say that all the CSS, all the PSS are weak. There are those who are really working hard, like the team of security. You see now even some of us in the North Rift. There's peace. People work day and night without problems because of those people who are there. Because they go to the people, and people assist them. That here is a problem, that corner has a problem, this other place is good, and things move. So the President has to see to it that those who are with him, because he's just talking, like now what we are reading, when the speech I've read from the first page to the last, it's really smart, but the fruits that will come from there, nothing. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to stop there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to contribute to the State of the Nation Address speech by the President, which is a constitutional requirement for him to come back to come and address the nation on issues that affect this country. Mr. Speaker, I would like to say the President for sure addressed many issues of concern to this country and to the people of this country. And many of those issues were based on hope. The fact that we have been having a very difficult time during the last 2 years of his governance and leadership, Mr. Speaker, the President, in addressing the nation, addressed very fundamental issues of concern to our people and our country. And one of the issues that he's raised was the issue of the improvement of our economy, the cost of living, and we witness as a country that there is improvement on the issue of our economy. The fact that the prices of fuel and dollar have come down, the issue of the cost of living in terms of food production, the prices of food and commodities coming down. All indicators, economic indicators, show that this country is heading towards the right direction. And this is as a result of the policies and the foundation the president has laid since he took over office. We all know as leaders and as people of this country that this country was doing very badly when this president took office, and now all indicators are that the country is taking a very good direction, and hopefully by the end of this term of 5 years, we'll have this direction we have taken, will go that way, that direction we have taken. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of affordable housing, SHA and SHIF, we all know for the last 20 years, the previous two presidents have tried taking this issue head on. It was all in manifestos for the last 20 years for every president who was contesting that they will be implementing affordable housing programs. They will be changing to universal health care program. And they were unable to take on that. They were unable to take a strong position and decision on this. I want to thank the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Ruto, for taking it head on and showing leadership and being a very strong leader in taking a strong position on these two issues. We all know that there was a lot of fight against the implementation of these two programs, affordable housing and universal health coverage. Mr. Speaker, as I speak, for the first time, we have about 1,100 housing units in my constituency since independence that have been undertaken by the national government. So it has taken off. SHA and SHIF has also taken off. As we report today, there are more than 70,000 people from Garissa County who are registered as members of SHIF and SHA. Mr. Speaker, 7 million more Kenyans have joined this program and we are getting good testimonies from them that the program is working. Had he gone back onto that decision he had made of implementing this program, then this thing will not have taken off. And I hope that we will not, this country will not let down the president and the people of Kenya, the very poor people who are benefiting from these two programs. Mr. Speaker, there is another issue that President talked about, and that is the issue of corruption in this country. Corruption in this country, Mr. Speaker, is a national threat, security threat for us. And unless we address it as people of this country, it cannot be handled by the president or the executive or this parliament. It's a national cancer that we are all aware of, and we must all play our part in ensuring that we fight this thing. The other issue is the issue of extrajudicial killing, abduction, which is a very big problem for us, those of us who are from the northern part of this country. Mr. Speaker, this issue of extrajudicial killing and abduction is very rampant in our region, and I hope the security agencies of this country have heard the position the president has taken on this issue, and there shall be no more abductions and killing of our people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Ivo Bara. Ivo Bara.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Apologies. I was engaged with my sister here on another matter, but nevertheless, I also want to stand and add my voice to the presidential speech that was on last week, the 21st. Mr. Speaker, let me not repeat what many people have said, but what stuck out for me mainly was the cancellation of the Adani contracts for the airport and the Ketraco. Mr. Speaker, this is a matter that has been going on for a long time, and the displeasure of the Kenyans about this contract. I am happy that he was able to listen to the ground and go back to the drawing board so that at the end of the day, we carry out projects that are in the interest of the people and that the people also have confidence in. Mr. Speaker, secondly, I was happy that he was able to raise the issue of the 2/3 gender rule. Mr. Speaker, this has been going on from the time we got the new constitution, which is no longer new, and I hope that this time he will be the one to deliver this come the next parliament. Mr. Speaker, I believe that we should be deliberate to come out with strategies that are going to make us realize this if all the parties get together and agree on a formula. And I know that we have discussed several formulas with the women leaders in this house and outside this house. And once we put our heads together again on how we will deliver this come 2027, Mr. Speaker, this will be something that our president will be remembered for. Mr. Speaker, I was happy that he was also able to address the issue of gender-based violence. Mr. Speaker, it has become alarming in this country. What has been going on, particularly women, young girls and women being killed out of relationships with people who are supposed to take care of them. Mr. Speaker, as much as we were saying that the men or the boys should be mentored to know how to manage their emotions and how they can take care under those situations, it is also a lesson to our women, Mr. Speaker, to our girls, Mr. Speaker. Shortcuts in life are not there. That all of us must strive to work hard ourselves and avoid situations where we put ourselves in a position to what we have seen in the last few years. Mr. Speaker, on matters of corruption, Mr. Speaker, this is a tired story. Mr. Speaker, we must be deliberate as Kenyans and as leaders to lead from the front. And as we always say, action speaks louder than words. We can say it 1,000 times, but if there is no resultant or related action against the corruption, it will continue. Our country has been bleeding, Mr. Speaker, from corruption. And mainly it comes from the procurement. And even as he directed that e-procurement must be enforced by first quarter of 2025, Mr. Speaker, I hope that in the performance contracts that were signed last week by the ministries and state corporation, that this is one of the targets that each agency must achieve by the first quarter of 2025. Mr. Speaker, in order not to repeat what has already been said by my colleagues, once again, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity, and we thank the President for coming out boldly on some of the issues that have been affecting Kenyans. And my desire is that at least we should see that they are all realized. Thank you very much.
Dr. Mutunga, you had not spoken on this? Why are you on the screen? Nabwin. Ekwom Nabwin.
Thank you.
For Turkana North. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker,
proceed.
for giving me this chance to talk to the speech, the presidential address. Mr. Speaker, sir, one of the things that came out is the president has committed to listening, to be a listening president. Meaning, Kenyans, once they speak, whether positive or negatively, they will expect their president to listen to them and respond to their issues. So this is positive from the president, and we really appreciate that. Mr. Speaker, by choosing to unite the country, the president has taken a very positive direction, because there is time when part of this country was feeling that they were left behind and they were not being given a chance in terms of development. So uniting the country in the broad-based government is a positive. Mr. Speaker, the president was able to identify and put forward a number of successes that the government have been able to implement. But, Mr. Speaker, we are looking at a number of other things that some of our communities are looking forward to from the government, from the executive. The pastoralist community want to utilize their mainstay and make it more economic than traditional. If we look at, from the president's speech, we will see how coffee, sector, dairy sector, sugar sector has been supported. We are looking forward in the next financial year that the livestock sector, and especially these areas that are far from Nairobi, the executive should be able to set up similar factories, meat factories, like the KMCs. If we can have a number of sub-KMCs, like in Turkana, where it is said we have the largest number of, say, cows, largest number of shots. What happens this time, Mr. Speaker, is we're transporting our livestock all the way from Turkana, many miles away from Turkana to Nairobi. If in the next years that are coming, maybe the next presidential speech or address, you'll be able to give a positive or something that has been done those sides of the country. Mr. Speaker, the other thing that has come out from the address is one of the things that we feel we needs to be done in this country is the corruption. Corruption is still taking a toll on a number of on many sectors of this country. It seems, and this is a feeling of most Kenyans, the institution that is meant to fight corruption is facilitating corruption because no action is being seen to be taken by this institution. Kenyans have eyes to see corruption activities or actions that are being undertaken, especially by governments or counties, but nothing is happening. So, Mr. Speaker, we're looking up to this institution for action. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, I want to mention something about the way we are.
Your time is up. Pauline Languris. Order, Pauline, I give you just 1 minute. I said we stop at 4. The majority leader is back to reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute on the presidential speech on the state of address of the nation. Mr. Speaker, the speech of the president really tackled on issues, many issues that were raised by Kenyans, especially on the issues that were affecting Kenyans. And this was a very positive speech because the president mentioned most of the issues that is going to address and settle the problems that are facing our people. One of the most important things that struck me most was the social health insurance scheme. We know that the transition to NHIF, from NHIF to SHA, is one of the most important schemes to our people of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, we know that the scheme is going to cover the people who are employed and those who are not also employed. So our transition from NHIF to SHA will ensure that most of our people will get health care services when they require. Mr. Speaker, I want just to mention to the House that this week, I was one of the beneficiaries from the SHA, which was mentioned with a lot of negativity by most of the Kenyans. That I was a beneficiary this week when I had a patient suffering from cancer and was covered entirely for chemotherapy by the SHA insurance scheme. So I want to encourage Kenyans to enroll themselves and benefit from this kind of scheme which has been facilitated by the Kenyan government. Another important issue that the president mentioned in his speech was the education. We are all impressed by the employment of 46,000 teachers, which will settle the issue of our schools, which is currently facing shortage of teachers, especially the CBC program.
Your time is up, Pauline. What is it? You want to contribute? Time out. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me begin by thanking all the members who have contributed to this debate since yesterday morning when it began on the State of the Nation address by His Excellency the President, and more so even those who were very resilient up to 9 p.m. last evening, and many others who came very early today morning to be able to contribute. Honorable Speaker, I don't want to say much in response because members basically have reiterated what His Excellency the President said in his address to the nation. And as we said, and as many members have said in their contributions, the state of the nation, as the President said, is resilient. And that resilience has been exhibited by the emerging growth of our nation's economy, right from a time, Honorable Speaker, when the dollar was trading at 162 shillings. Honorable Speaker, I did hear the Deputy Leader of Minority yesterday asking whether there is indeed an appreciation of the shilling. And I know Robert Mbui is not an economic student. He may not understand many of these things. But when the shilling appreciates from 162 to 129, that is something you cannot deny, Honorable Speaker. And I heard him say that at the time this administration took over the reins of leadership, the dollar was trading at 125. Fact. But it was trading at a rate of 125 in the backdrop of very major economic setbacks. With a devastating drought, you remember at the time, Honorable Speaker, there was no fuel in the country. Kenyans may have forgotten that they had to queue with jerry cans to be able to get fuel. But when the G2G procurement process of fuel came into being, Honorable Speaker, this administration was able to stabilize not just the pricing of fuel and the price of our foreign exchange reserves, our foreign exchange rates, but also to ensure there is availability of fuel. Without naming names, Honorable Speaker, because they are friendly countries, many of our neighbors today, people are still queuing to get fuel. They do not have fuel. But in our country, we have fuel, and fuel whose prices have been coming down almost every other month for the last few months, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the state of the economy, when it said it's resilient in terms of food security, that again speaks for itself. As I said, Honorable Speaker, in moving, and as the President did enumerate in his address to the nation, we were buying unga at the price of almost 262 shillings in September.
280.
280 for some brands. Actually, there's a brand that was retailing at 287.
Yes.
Today, the same brands are at an average of 120, 110, and I've even seen some brands going for as low as 90 shillings. And if indeed the demonstrations that the Honorable Robert Mbui, my good friend, was involved in then, during the Unga and Sufuria movement, were about the price of Unga, then my good friend Robert Mbui cannot claim that there have not been positive changes. But that is not to mean, Honorable Speaker, that we don't have room for improvement. We still have got a long walk to walk. And all we call upon is focus, and I'm glad that the President and his administration are focused in walking that long journey to bring back our economy to where it ought to be. And I am very confident, Honorable Speaker, that we shall be able to work together. As I said, for us in the legislature, ours is to support the administration that is in power today with legislative interventions that will help them realize and anchor economic policies through legislation that will help them realize the aspirations of the Kenyan people and all the promises that we all made to the Kenyan people. And it does not matter whether you are in the minority or the majority, whether you support William Ruto as a president or not. If you love your country, if you are patriotic enough, Honorable Speaker, you must stand out to be counted in support of those policies that will anchor good legislation that will help us to achieve what we all promised the people of Kenya. And I say that, Honorable Speaker, because aware that we are all from different political parties. There are those that support this administration. There are those that do not. In the minority, like I did hear the Honorable Mbui speak about these issues yesterday. But whether you support this administration or not, Honorable Speaker, you represent people of Kenya. And the people you represent, you made certain promises and pledges to them. And they elected you on the basis of those things that you promised them. Honorable Speaker, I am glad that the President remains focused. Even with all the negativity that has been there, I am glad President William Ruto has shut his eyes and ears to the negativity. And as much as he told us that one of our core responsibilities as leaders is to listen, you listen, but do not get distracted. Remain focused on what you want to achieve for the greater good of the people of Kenya and our nation. Honorable Speaker, even for us as legislators, let us remain focused. We were elected because the people in our constituencies believed and they knew that you know better, among us the many other people you competed with. Your time to show the people of Kenya that you know better and they never made a mistake in electing you in your constituency is by making sure you offer leadership. Offering leadership does not always mean you doing what is popular. What is popular, Honorable Speaker, I've said before, may not necessarily be right. When we tend to act out of political expediency and play into the gallery, we may be doing all the wrong things. But when you do what is right, time will vindicate you. And I am confident, Honorable Speaker, time will vindicate this administration, the Kenya Kwanza administration. Time will vindicate the President. That those who talk about Ruto and lies will know there is nothing about lies with President William Ruto. That when he said in Swahili, tutawainua wale walioko mavumbini, wakule meza moja na wafalme, that indeed today, Honorable Speaker, I have listened to Honorable Lenguris saying that she has been a beneficiary of the Taifa Care under the Social Health Insurance Fund. I have seen men and women who are boda riders, mamambogas, also testify and post online how they have benefited, like the Honorable Pauline Lenguris from Taifa Care. If we have a program for medical care, universal health coverage, that is taking care of Honorable Pauline Lenguris, a member of parliament, the same way it takes care of mamamboga and the boda person, then there cannot be lies about that, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, let me conclude by saying, Honorable Speaker, since I see now we are good. I was taking some time, Honorable Speaker, for the obvious. And I see now we are good. Honorable Speaker, let me conclude by saying, as the President said, as leaders, let us continue listening to our people. Let us reaffirm the resilience of our nation and remain focused to ensure, Honorable Speaker, that we succeed. Because I, as the President said, Honorable Speaker, and I know this has rubbed some people the wrong way. Honorable Speaker, on a light note, when the President said here that failure is not an option, I was elated, Honorable Speaker, and I tweeted and posted and reposted it. And I saw many people online bashing me, asking, how many times are you going to post? And Honorable Speaker, I would repost it again to rub them the wrong way, because I believe truly that failure is not an option, and nobody should ever pray that this nation fails. If we are speaking to our national values, part of those national values is patriotism. And we have been told before that patriotism, or rather praying or hoping that your president or your nation fails, is the height of being unpatriotic. Let us be patriotic Kenyans in line with our national values, and all in one accord say that failure is not an option, and failure cannot and will never be an option for this administration. With that, I beg to reply. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable members, We'll now put the question that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 24-6, the thanks of this House be recorded for the exposition of public policy contained in the address of His Excellency the President delivered in Parliament on Thursday, 21st November 2024, and further that this House notes the following reports submitted by His Excellency the President in fulfillment of the provisions of Article 132(1)(c) and 247 of the Constitution laid on the table of the House on Monday, 25th November 2024. 1. The 11th Annual Report on the measures taken and progress achieved in the realization of national values and principles of governance. 2. The 11th Annual Report on the progress made in fulfilling the international obligations of the Republic of Kenya. And 3, the Annual Report to Parliament on the state of national security. As members of that opinion say aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 10, special motion. Appointment of a member of Parliament to the Parliamentary Service Commission.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that pursuant to the provisions of Article 127(2)(c)(i) of the Constitution, this House approves the appointment of Senator Wahome Wamatinga, MP, to the Parliamentary Service Commission to fill the vacancy occasioned by the resignation of Senator John Derito Kinyua, MP. Honorable Speaker, this is a very simple motion. It's for approval of a commission of the Parliamentary Service Commission following the resignation of Senator Kinyua, the Senator for Laikipia, and the eventual appointment and election in the Senate, because Senator Kinyua was a representative of the Senate in the Parliamentary Service Commission, which, Honorable Speaker, you chair. And the House last week, the other House in Senate, did approve the appointment of Senator Wahome Wamatinga. Senator Wahome Wamatinga is a senator for Nyeri County and a very focused gentleman, a very good legislator, serving his first term in the House. And Honorable Speaker, I would no doubt believe, and I want to believe, Honorable Speaker, that Senator Wamatinga will serve very well in the Parliamentary Service Commission. And since Senator Wamatinga comes from a county that is not so far away from Parliament, Honorable Speaker, the county of Nyeri, and I know there are members of Parliament from Nyeri in the House, and those from Nairobi, the ones I see here, and the environs. And Honorable Speaker, you know, we must tell him he must not be in the commission to represent sectarian interests. But the commission, that what benefits one member benefits the other. What hurts one member should hurt everybody. Because we are all elected members of Parliament, and we represent people equally, Honorable Speaker, in this House. And it is not fair that some members have certain benefits that others do not have. And Honorable Speaker, as the chair of the commission, you have a huge responsibility to ensure that there is some equity. And I know within the budgets of the Parliamentary Service Commission, Honorable Speaker, it is possible to strike a good balance. And I do hope that Senator Wamatinga will bring in his expertise. I know he has been a very good engineer, and he can actually re-engineer whatever goes on in the Parliamentary Service Commission to ensure that there is that equity, Honorable Speaker. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, Senator Wamatinga is an elderly man. He's much younger than Senator the senator for Laikipia who was there, and I therefore believe that you bring in much more wisdom to the commission. And with you there, Honorable Speaker, you now have 2 elders. And therefore, I want to believe that you will conduct the affairs of the commission in a very good way, balanced, fair, creating equity, and ensuring that these members in this House and even those in the Senate remain dignified, but also we must also carry ourselves with dignity if we are to be dignified by the public out there. With those very many remarks, Honorable Speaker, allow me to request the Honorable Member for Mombasa County, the Honorable Zamzam, to second this motion in agreement on behalf of the Leader of Minority who is away. And I beg to move, Honorable Speaker, and request Honorable Zamzam to second.
Mama Zamzam, unatoka harusi nini?
Natoka kutoa mahari mahali, Mheshimiwa Spika. Mheshimiwa Spika, asante sana kiongozi wa wengi, na mimi niweze kuunga mkono uteuzi wa Commissioner Matangi na niweze kumwambia kuwa wa Matinga. Wajua majina nayo pia haya. Commissioner wa Matinga niweze kumpongeza kwa kuweza kuteuliwa kama commissioner, na kitu ambacho mimi nataka kumuelezea ni kuwa shike wabunge wamekuja hapa na tunajua masuala ya wabunge yanaangaliwa na hawa makamishna. Wahakikisha wanafanya usawa. Kuna wabunge hapa ulia wakatatizika, Mheshimiwa Spika, lakini sasa kitu tunasema mkipewa nafasi hizi na nyinyi kumbukeni wenzenu. Manake pia sisi wapigia upatu ili muweze kupata hizi nafasi, muweze kuhudumu katika hili bunge na kuangalia masuala ya wabunge bila upendelevu. Ila mimi nataka nimuombee Mungu Mheshimiwa Spika, nimwambie ashike kasi na niweze hasa sana tena narudia sana kumshukuru rais wetu Mheshimiwa Dr. William Samoei Ruto kwa ile ambayo alituelezea hapa vile anavyoendeleza uchumi. Kwa hiyo na wao wasimwangushe, washike kasi, waangalie bunge, waangalie wabunge na masuala ya wabunge waangaliwe vizuri. Manake wabunge wengi wanalalamika. Na nikisema hivi mimi nazungumza sauti ya wabunge. Makamishna wasio wanajiangalia wao peke yao. Kuna wengine wanafanya kazi nzuri tunawapongeza, lakini wengine wanajiangalia nafsi zao, waweze kuangalia wabunge, waangalie nafsi za wabunge pia. Sisi tumekuja hapa pia Mheshimiwa Spika, tuna mambo yetu mengi ambayo tunataka tuangaliwe. Lakini yote pia nakushukuru Mheshimiwa Spika, umekuwa spika ambaye umetushika mkono na hawa wabunge wanaweza kusema. Umetushika mkono, tukija kwako umekuwa kama baba. Tunakuombea Mungu azidi kukubariki na hicho kitini chako uzidi kubarikiwa. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Asante Mama Zamzam. Order, honorable members. Order Nabwin. Take the seat. I now propose the question, which is that pursuant to the provisions of Article 127 2C1 of the Constitution, this House approves the appointment of Senator Wahome Wamatinga, MP, to the Parliamentary Service Commission to fill the vacancy occasioned by the resignation of Senator John Nderitu Kinyua, MP. Do you really want to debate this? Do I put the question? You have more serious business than this. Can we put the question? That is the mood of the House. I now order. Order, honorable members, you have quorum to vote. I now put the question, which is that pursuant to the provisions of Article 127 2C1 of the Constitution, this House approves the appointment of Senator Wahome Wamatinga, MP, to the Parliamentary Service Commission to fill the vacancy occasioned by the resignation of Senator John Nderitu Kinyua, MP. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 11, the Kenya Revenue Authority Amendment number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill number 35 of 2024, second reading.
Majority, is that from Majority Leader? Resumption of debate. Who was on the floor? There was nobody on the floor. Ngusia. Johanna Ngeno. No. There being no interest in debating, I call the mover to reply. Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, if the members led by the member for Aldai, the Honorable Meli, the Honorable Karoli Omondi, if you could please kindly take your seats for 2 minutes. 2 minutes only, for obvious reasons. Honorable Speaker, I beg to reply, and this bill, Honorable Speaker, was almost about 4 clauses bill. Honorable Speaker, I had indicated, and the move of the bill on my behalf, the Honorable and Bayer, the Deputy Leader of Minority, had indicated that I had written to your office seeking to get a withdrawal of clause 3 on that bill. Honorable Speaker, for the simple reason that clause 3 sought to give the Commissioner General powers to appoint his own deputies. Honorable Speaker, only a year ago, this House enacted legislation that sought to create proper corporate governance within the Kenya Revenue Authority to ensure that Deputy Commissioner Generals are appointed, interviewed and appointed in line with the tenets of corporate governance by the Board of Directors of the Kenya Revenue Authority, as indeed happens in all other corporates. Or even in institutions like this, Honorable Speaker, you are elected as Speaker, and the members who are the Board of Election also elect the Deputy Speaker. And it is in line with that we sought to drop clause 3, and therefore we will be doing that, Honorable Speaker, since the communication has not come from your office. In the Committee of the Whole, we will be moving to drop clause 3. And as soon as the Honorable Soro does the needful, Honorable Speaker, during the Committee of the Whole, we will be able to drop that particular clause to ensure that there is proper corporate governance in all our public institutions, including our parastatals, Honorable Speaker. It will not be fair, for instance, if the MD of Kenya Power and Lighting Company became the one to appoint his own deputy. Let us leave it to the Board of Directors to interview people so that also you get to give people jobs based on merit. And if, Honorable Speaker, there is a weakness in one office, then it doesn't go down to other offices. And the board being the oversight institution over any corporate body, like a parastatal or any state corporation, then it will be easier to ensure that that corporate governance is enhanced. Honorable Speaker, the many members who contributed to the bill did allude to the need to have a specialized school on revenue mobilization in the country, and that is what KESRA, or the Kenya School of Revenue, is doing, that is owned by KRA. And those of us, Honorable Speaker, that have had the privilege to go to business schools in this country, and indeed in the wider East African region, KESRA has been training revenue officers not just for our country, but also for other countries in the region. And members are aware that all the public and private universities in our country that are offering degree courses do not have specialized degree courses in revenue administration. And therefore, it's important that we allow KESRA, or the Kenya School for Revenue Administration, to be able to, Honorable Speaker, to be able to administer in collaboration with public universities. For instance, KESRA can now, in collaboration with the University of Nairobi, the School of Business, or with Strathmore University, the School of Accounting or School of Business, collaborate and offer degrees, specialized degrees in revenue administration. So that, Honorable Speaker, as we progress and as we move on, we do not have revenue officers, KRA officers who belong to the old school of thought, where you walk into business premises to harass people. The mobilization of revenue in the country must be done in a way that it is respectful to the taxpayers, in a manner that it does not discourage people from investing in business in this country, and in a manner also, Honorable Speaker, that encourages taxpayers to pay revenue or pay their taxes. Therefore, it's important that we empower the Kenya School of Revenue Administration, or KESRA, to be able to train our young people and our young men and women to be able to offer these services in a very good way. Honorable Speaker, I have nothing much to add because this bill, Honorable Speaker, was a very short bill. I was trying to buy time, Honorable Speaker, in reply for other reasons, which I think I'm being encouraged to mention one other thing that I did not mention, Honorable Speaker. Because we know we have already begun the budget making process. And members of the public and ourselves are aware that by October we start beginning, and we begin by collecting views from members of the public and even doing public participation from the National Treasury side before we eventually get the annual estimates by end of April next year. And I want to encourage all of us to participate in these processes. Many of us wait until the last meeting when the annual estimate books are tabled on the floor to start perusing them and asking, was the road in my constituency, was a water pan in my constituency factored in? This is the time to start engaging with the ministries and departments to ensure that the things you want captured in next year's budget for you is indeed captured. And Honorable Speaker, is factored in next year's budget, so that we make it easy even for KRA, even as we pass this bill for them, when they are training our revenue officers to be able to collect revenue with ease. With those very many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I beg to reply and thank all the members who contributed.
Honorable members, I'll now put the question at order number 11, which is that the Kenya Revenue Authority Amendment number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill number 35 of 2024, be now read a second time. As many of that opinion say aye. As many as of the contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Kenya Revenue Authority Act.
Next, Carol Omonde, I see you on intervention. Next order.
Order number 12, motion, consideration of mediated version of the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 38 of 2024.
Member for Molo. As we hold for member for Molo Clark, the women rep for West Pokot had a statement at order number 7, order. At order number 7, the women rep for West Pokot, Honorable Kisawai, came late. I had directed to drop the question, but when she explained, the reasons were legitimate as to why she was late. So I'll give her an opportunity back at order number 7 to request for her statement. Tongoyo, the statement is directed at you. Kisawai. Kasiwai. I have a village in Bungoma called Kisawai. Sorry, Mami, your name is Kasiwai.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and thank you for pronouncing my name correctly. It's Kasiwai.
Kasiwai.
Right. Thank you. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44-2C, I wish to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security regarding the security situation in Chesagon area located on the border between Elgeyo Marakwet and West Pokot counties. Honorable Speaker, the Chesagon area has for long experienced periods of insecurity with recurring incidences of violence and banditry attacks. The recent conflicts along the Pokot-Marakwet border have particularly devastated the Jebtulel area, resulting in the closure and desertion of essential facilities, including schools and hospitals. Consequently, Mr. Speaker, the residents of the Chesagon area have been forced to vacate their homes due to persistent security concerns that have plagued the region. The current situation has led to abandonment of homes, which continue to deteriorate and severely impacting the lives and livelihoods of the thousands of residents in that area. While the government has commendably undertaken renovation of local schools in the area, these facilities remain unutilized as families have relocated due to the prevailing insecurity. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security on the following. 1, a report on the government's awareness of the displacement of residents in the Chesagon area, including assessment of the number of displaced households and individuals from the region and their current location. 2, I want to know the plans the government has, if any, to provide building materials and support to displaced residents to facilitate the reconstruction of their homes and strengthen community resilience. 3, I want to know what the long-term strategy to address and permanently resolve the persistent insecurity issues and cross-border conflicts in the region. And lastly, I want to know if the government, I want to know the status of the establishment of the army camp in Sokoto area in the region, which was intended to help reduce insecurity in the region. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Tongoyo, when can you bring a response?
Honorable Speaker, I'll try to bring it on Thursday afternoon.
Thursday afternoon,
yes.
So be it.
But I want to mention one thing, Honorable Speaker, kindly. Of course, I think one of the questions is to try to look long term, and we had an extensive visit of the region as a committee some time back. Actually,
say that on Thursday.
Okay.
Say that on Thursday. Next order, the order had been called out, Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, and to the distinguished member for Kiharu and all chairmen of committees and members who have business on the order paper. Once you are on the order paper, you are not entitled to think that you will be reached at a time you desire. You can be reached anytime, so I advise Majority Leader to ensure that every member with business must be in the chamber, because business can collapse, business can fail for whatever reason, and we move to the next order. So when we call the order, you can see Ndindi have gone back to order number 7 just to accommodate you to come over to move your bill. Go ahead and do so now. It has already been called out. Order number 12. Motion. Dindi, go ahead. Give Honorable Dindi the mic.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I wish to move that pursuant to provisions of Article 1132 of the Constitution and starting Order 153, that this House adopts the report of the Mediation Committee of the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill, number 38 of 2024, laid on the table of the House on Monday, 25th November 2024, and approves the mediated version of the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill, number 38 of 2024. Honorable Speaker, I first of all wish to thank all the members of the Mediation Committee, the members who spent long hours in trying to mediate this matter between the National Assembly and the Senate. Honorable Speaker, also, I wish to thank the members of the Senate who attended the mediation sessions led by the chair or the co-chair, Honorable Ali Romba. Honorable Speaker, on the onset, when we met in the mediation, we agreed that we are all members of Parliament, that is the National Assembly and Senate, and that there was no tussle between our standpoints. It was just a matter of exchanging ideas so that we come up with the optimal level in terms of the Division of Revenue Bill. And Honorable Speaker, as has been misconstrued before, mediation, we don't meet because we are putting on different sides. We meet because we are looking for the best option for the country. And that is why even when the mediation sessions were very heated, Honorable Speaker, we were able to conduct all the sessions with a lot of decorum, and of course based on the fact that we were looking for the best figure for our counties, but also that what the country would afford, Honorable Speaker. The genesis of this process, Honorable Speaker, is that we came to this House in the around mid of this year. We passed what we call the budget. What we usually call the budget is the appropriations bill, Honorable Speaker. And after that, Honorable Speaker, is that we went ahead and we had already passed the Division of Revenue Bill. Honorable Speaker, there needs to be alignments between the appropriations bill, the Division of Revenue Bill, Honorable Speaker, and also CARA. And Honorable Speaker, then the predicament in the mediation committee this time was that this was a time unprecedented. There has never been a situation where we are meeting to revise the Division of Revenue Bill downwards. All the time, if there has been any variation, has been enhancement. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, the first question that we had to scratch our heads to get the answer is the process at which we need to arrive at this, at the figure we ended up arriving at, Honorable Speaker. And I say so because, Honorable Speaker, when we amend the Division of Revenue Bill, that has to also go in tandem with CARA. Honorable Speaker, as it has now, CARA already has a memoranda from the President. And therefore we need to pronounce ourselves on that. And it needs to that majority in both houses. That is the National Assembly, but also, Honorable Speaker, the Senate. And we, first of all, had to find a pathway. That even before we talk about the content, we needed to be sure that the pathway after the conclusion of the mediation committee will be anchored in law and will be anchored in the documents that you've already passed. To cut the long story short is that, Honorable Speaker, in terms of the pathway, the mediation report that we are passing today, Honorable Speaker, has a figure of 387 billion Kenya shillings. Last financial year, Honorable Speaker, the shareable revenue to our counties was around 385 billion Kenya shillings. But Honorable Speaker, the version that we amended in this House after what happened in the country in July is that we actually passed here 380 billion Kenya shillings. But in the budget now, it appears like the counties are getting 410 billion Kenya shillings. In the previous one that we passed, Honorable Speaker. But this is so because there were carryovers of 30 billion Kenya shillings, Honorable Speaker, and therefore the shareable revenue of 380 plus the 30 carryovers, that is what now reflects in the current budget of Kenya shillings, 410 billion shillings. Honorable Speaker, I'm saying this so that members can also appreciate also the figure that we have and also the modalities around it. But then, this is the issue, Honorable Speaker. The version that we are passing today, and I'm beseeching this House to pass, reflects a figure of 387 billion shillings. But, Honorable Speaker, the appropriations bill that we passed, that is supplementary one, shows that that figure is 380 billion. Honorable Speaker, we also have CARA, which we had forwarded to the President with a figure that was previously there of 400.1 billion shillings, but was sent back with a memoranda, Honorable Speaker. And to overturn that memoranda from the President, we require that this House has to have 2/3 majority, and also the Senate has to have 2/3 majority. All these things are important for members to know that even after here, there is some process to go. Honorable Speaker, in arriving at this figure, we have several figures which I want to mention. The figure that we had passed in the budget, in the appropriations bill, was 400.1 billion shillings. The figure we ended up passing in supplementary one is 380 billion Kenya shillings. The figure that the Senate were requesting that we sustain is the 400.1 billion Kenya shillings. But, Honorable Speaker, now we have a figure of 387 billion Kenya shillings, which is an enhancement from last financial year of around 2 billion shillings, but an enhancement from what was already passed in this House, Honorable Speaker, of 7 billion, because we had passed 380 billion Kenya shillings. But, Honorable Speaker, this figure also is higher than what is required constitutionally. Constitutionally, Honorable Speaker, the shareable revenue should form around not less than 15% of the revenues in the last audited, Honorable Speaker. As it is now before us, Honorable Speaker, we are now doing over 24% of the last audited revenues, Honorable Speaker, which is thus to show that this House supports devolution, as our brothers and sisters in the Senate also do. And that is why even when we met, there was no acrimony, because we all knew that the monies that are going to our counties are still going to serve the Kenyan people. The monies that are going to our constituencies also goes to serve the same Kenyan people. And therefore, there was no point of belaboring the point so deeply about who supports and who does not support devolution. All of us in this House have shown in the past, are showing now, that the National Assembly supports devolution. The Senate also in the Mediation Committee, Honorable Speaker, we were all reading from the same page that there is no contestation, Honorable Speaker, that we all support devolution, and that is why we were able to conclude this issue in a very amicable manner. Honorable Speaker, there was also another clause we had put in the initial report, that when there is a shortfall of revenue, that the national government and the county governments were to bear that shortfall, Honorable Speaker, in a manner that reflects their initial figures, what I would call proportionately. But, Honorable Speaker, after deliberations, there is something we have seen very consistent in this country, where the National Treasury sets targets, revenue targets. But for the last 10 years, Honorable Speaker, we have never, even 1 year, met our revenue targets. And we decided in the mediation committee that what we have been advising the National Treasury, even as a House, that they need to give projections of revenue that are in tandem with reality. Because there are ramifications of that. When you give a very high target, which then you don't end up meeting, what we end up doing by the close of the year is to enlarge the debt or having so many projects unfunded by the lapse of the year on the 30th of June. It is the same reason, Honorable Speaker, that by the last financial year, the country was not able to fund projects worthy Kenya shillings 218 billion shillings. And what we were only able to carry over as a country, Honorable Speaker, was only the 30 billion for counties, a little bit for CDF, and a little bit for pensions, which was just around 60 billion. All the other monies, Honorable Speaker, are projects and especially developmental that ended up unfunded by the lapse of the financial year. What we need to do to make a credible budget is to come up with revenue targets that reflect reality. And for that reason, Honorable Speaker, the mediation committee deleted that clause, that when there is a revenue shortfall, the people who set revenue are not the county governments. It is the National Treasury. And the National Treasury represents the executive or the national government, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, in our report, we have decided that the counties can no longer be able to carry a burden which they were not part of the creation. And therefore, when there is a shortfall in revenue targets, it is only the national government, as has always been there before, to carry the entire burden, because that burden cannot be carried by the county governments because they are not even the authors of these revenue targets, Honorable Speaker. And this also makes our county assemblies to do budgets that are not moving targets. When we give them, Honorable Speaker, figures that may change, we are just basically telling our county assemblies to pass budgets that may actually not be fulfilled. And that is why we have decided to delete that clause so that in case of a revenue shortfall, the National Treasury that actually sets those targets, Honorable Speaker, it is therefore, being a representation of the national government, it is the national government alone to carry the burden of revenue shortfall. Honorable Speaker, the other thing that I want to highlight is that besides this bill that is before us, before this motion that is before us, there is already another mediation, Honorable Speaker, which will actually be meeting for the first time tomorrow. Because the conditional allocation to our counties also, they also need to be mediated. Because the figure that we passed in this House and the figure passed by the Senate has some discrepancies. And Honorable Speaker, I would beseech this House because I know the undercurrents around the issues we were discussing. Those undercurrents are better handled in the next mediation because it is the conditional grants are the ones that have sectoral allocations, even like the RMLF, and therefore this division of revenue has got absolutely nothing to do with RMLF. It is the next report, Honorable Speaker, that then contains that. And I hope maybe by that time we will exercise our debate on that matter during that debate, because that is where it is domiciled. However, Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, I wish to thank our county governments. I wish to thank our governors. They have been doing a credible job. They have been trying their best under the circumstances that we are in terms of the finances. And the more the reason, Honorable Speaker, that there is no need for any house, for any leader to fight the other, because we are all pulling on the same side. When CDF does classrooms for JSS, and our counties support our healthcare, and even county governments come together with the national government to collaborate in other functions, like the industrial parks and the others, all this collaborative manner, Honorable Speaker, only serves the justice of serving the people of Kenya. And that is why, under our watch, we have refused, Honorable Speaker, to disenfranchise ourselves as the mediation committee in terms of pointing fingers on anyone. Because the situation we find ourselves, financially speaking, is not a creation of anyone. It is just a creation of the economy as it is, Honorable Speaker. And that is why we were able to come to a very good conclusion. Honorable Speaker, this issue, because I know the governors expected more than we could, that could be delivered. Honorable Speaker, this issue of shortfalls in revenue is also reflected in their own source revenues of our county governments themselves. Because, you know, national government collects revenue, but also our county governments also collects revenue. Honorable Speaker, even when the Commission for Revenue Allocation tries to project their own source revenue, it always has shortfalls. Because, Honorable Speaker, it is understandable that when there is a shortfall on one side, it is likely to be symmetrical because we are dealing with the same economy. And the same, Honorable Speaker, that the way we find ourselves not meeting targets on this front, even on the county governments, it is the same, Honorable Speaker. And this calls all of us, this House, the county assemblies, the National Treasury, the CECs for finance in our county governments. I think it is better to project less than more, because it's better to deal with a surplus when it appears than to deal with a deficit when it accentuates itself, like in this situation, Honorable Speaker. Because this is how it happens, Honorable Speaker, just for a snapshot. When we pass a budget, like the one we have of 3.88 trillion Kenya shillings, on one side there is revenue. On the other side, there is expenditure. But you know, government is a revolving door. When I had not joined this committee, Honorable Speaker, I used to think, for example, that the pensions that the civil servants are paid, I used to think there is a bank account that when you are a civil servant and you are deducted, that your money is deposited. Honorable Speaker, I am sure most people that is what we think. But there is no such a kitty, Honorable Speaker. Government is a revolving door. That even pension itself that is deducted, there is no granary of pension, for example. All these monies are the monies we collect as taxes every day. So that even a person who retired 15 years ago, there is no money in any bank account that they were deducted. It is the taxes we are collecting today that pays their pensions today, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, I was trying to talk about the hierarchy. When the National Treasury receives revenue, the number one thing that they pay is CFS, especially interest rates in debt. The second thing they pay, Honorable Speaker, it is the salaries for the civil servants. Honorable Speaker, the other thing they pay is the pensions. The other thing, Honorable Speaker, is the recurrent. The last thing that ends up being funded by the National Treasury when we collect revenue is development, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, when there is a shortfall in revenue, as it was projected, all that shortfall in most cases is borne by the development kitty. And that is why, Honorable Speaker, we are requesting the National Treasury, even in this report, they project revenues that are cognizant or reflect reality so that we don't find ourselves in years that lapse without projects being funded adequately and fully. Otherwise, Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you and thank all the members of the Mediation Committee, both in the National Assembly and Senate. I want to thank the leadership of this House, Honorable Speaker, and I want to request the Majority Leader, Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, to second this motion.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Allow me first to thank our Chair, Budget and Appropriations Committee, who also was co-chairing the mediation committee between us and the other House, and all the members of this House and the Senate who engage in this very rigorous mediation process. Honorable Speaker, every mediated bill is a question of big give and take. And I must thank even the senators who had otherwise taken a very intransigent position or standing with governors to ask for 400 billion. And I must thank them for eventually seeing the light and appreciating that as much as we are all desirous of giving even beyond 400 billion shillings to our counties, those resources are not there. And since we all live in this country, we know what happened with the loss of the finance bill. The projected revenues, as at the time the first division of revenue bill was being done, are not the same today. They had to be reviewed downwards because of the loss of the finance bill 2024. Honorable Speaker, in that give and take spirit, the Senate, together with the Council of Governors, I know they may not be very satisfied with this figure of 387.425 billion shillings going to the counties, but a great improvement, Honorable Speaker. This now constitutes 24.67%, almost 25% of the last audited accounts, I think, of the year 2021, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, it tells you that progressively the money going to our county governments is increasing every year. And indeed, it was the spirit of this House and the government to give our counties 400 billion shillings. You remember, Honorable Speaker, in the year 2020-2021, we had a similar significant increase in the shareable revenue going to our counties. And in one particular year, we increased the county shareable revenue by 50 billion shillings. But that, Honorable Speaker, was on the understanding between us following a mediation process again with the Senate and an agreement with the Council of Governors that they would then cede ground on the question of the revenue coming from the fuel levy fund. It's sad, Honorable Speaker, that our governors and the Council of Governors is now reneging on that very good gentleman's agreement and pitting ourselves against them. Honorable Speaker, the money that goes to the constituencies for fuel levy, at the time we increased by over 50 billion shillings the shareable revenue, was on the understanding that most of that money would be going towards rehabilitation and maintenance of roads at the county level. Today, Honorable Speaker, and I don't know whether I will speak for Kiambu County or it is indeed the case in all our counties, county roads are not being done at all. Members of the public have become accustomed now that they can only go to their women rep or their member of parliament to get a road fixed, even roads that are not under the purview of members of parliament or the constituency roads committee. Honorable Speaker, I want to take this opportunity to beseech the Council of Governors, and I know they have new leadership now, to drop the cases in court. Those cases are not helping them. They are not helping the country. They are simply holding services and the maintenance and rehabilitation of roads around the country at ransom because governors want more money. And this insatiable thirst for resources, Honorable Speaker, should come with service delivery. My problem with many of our governors is that the resources that go to the counties don't commensurate with the services being given to the people. Around the country, and it is not lost on us, Honorable Speaker, that even the NGCDF matters, the Council of Governors had a huge role to play even in the courts. And we know who are the sponsors of the people who are in court on the NGCDF matter. You can see the nexus between even the advocates that represent the parties in court on the NGCDF matter and those that represent the Council of Governors in other matters. This is not how to expend public resources. Institutions of the same government, same country, taking each other to court. And I really want to plead with governors. Since the mediation committee of the National Assembly went into this mediation process with clean hands and in good faith, mediated in good faith, and even has ceded to resources that the chairman of the Budget and Appropriation Committee can tell you these resources are not there. We are only hoping that with the anticipated passage of the tax and business laws, we may be able to get a bit of more resources to be able to cater for this. Honorable Speaker, in that give and take, could we plead with our Council of Governors to please cease the litigation matters in court, especially around the fuel levy money that goes to Kera and Kura? These national agencies maintain roads around the country. I have seen, for instance, the last 2 weeks, Citizen TV has been very keen on highlighting how dilapidated roads are in Nairobi County. And I saw the governor of Nairobi saying, for instance, Jogoo Road doesn't belong to me, it belongs to the national government. Fact, it does belong to the national government. That is why you will see in advertisements today from Kura, out of the money coming from the fuel levy fund, Jogoo Road has been advertised for rehabilitation. The president was in a church the other Sunday in Soweto, in Embakasi East constituency, represented by Honorable Babu Owino. And when the president set foot in that church, all that the church leaders and residents of Soweto could tell him is about the state of a road that is so dilapidated that was done 3 years ago under the Kenya Informal Settlements Program funded by the World Bank. But now it's so dilapidated that you have to wade through pools of water even to get to that church in Soweto. And you know the church has become very famous for other reasons, Honorable Speaker, that church. But I can also confirm that money has not found its way back to the president. And I have a long list of other churches that are waiting for that money to get back to the president so that it can be donated to the other churches that are waiting. But besides the money and service to God and humanity that the president engaged in, he did promise the people of Soweto that that road will be rehabilitated. The money rehabilitating that road by Kura is coming from the fuel levy. Honorable Speaker, I do not need to belabor this, but I really want to take this opportunity to request the Council of Governors to also adopt the give and take attitude that the two houses of parliament have adopted in this mediation process. Give in on the fuel levy, and we will support you in everything else you want to do. But please, stop pitting yourselves in a fight with members of parliament. These members of parliament have no business to do with the roads. And with all due respect to the former Prime Minister, I know he had his view, and I have engaged him on it, because these members of parliament are the first point of call by their constituents when roads are dilapidated in their constituencies. Governors are never seen anywhere. I had a case in one of the counties where an MP neighbors a governor. The governor has 7 AP officers guarding his residence. The MP has none. And everybody flocks to the members of parliament's office on healthcare, food, funerals, hospital bills, roads. Nobody ever goes near the governor's residence. Because I don't want to say they have elevated themselves to be small gods or anything, Honorable Speaker. But they need to open up, be accessible to their people. These members of parliament are elected the same way governors are elected. And therefore, they cannot bear an unequal share of the burden of the people's problems than governors. And when these members of parliament are supervising the work that is being done by the CRC committees, because these members of parliament are not members of the CRC committees. They do not participate in the implementation of projects. What they do is offer meaningful oversight to ensure that at least the national government roads at the constituency level are being rehabilitated. They're in good condition, Honorable Speaker. Now, if we sacrifice all this money to go to the governors, these 387 billion, ask Kenyans next year where this money, they will have seen any work from this money. And ask Kenyans whether they will have seen the billions that have gone through CDF. Kenyans will only tell you the money that they see from NGCDF, not from this shareable revenue. But I beg to support and second this motion for agreement on the mediated version of the Division of Revenue Bill. And hopefully the other house in the Senate will be able now to start, upon passage of this one, to start with Kara, and we are able to pass it before we proceed on recess. With that, Honorable Speaker, I beg to second. I was going to reply.
Honorable members, allow me to propose the question that pursuant to the provisions of Article 1132 of the Constitution and Standing Order number 153, this House adopts the report of the Mediation Committee on the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 38 of 2024, laid on the table of this House on Monday, 25th November 2024, and approves the mediated version of the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 38 of 2024. Member for Funyula.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity to contribute on this mediated version of the Kenya Division of Revenue Amendment Act 2024. I must go on record. I was together with the Chair of Public Accounts Committee as a member of the Mediation Committee. And Honorable Speaker, I learned so much about the mentality of the senators in respect of this matter. I also had an opportunity, Honorable Speaker, to engage some of the governors, and I also learned so much how they view things in this country. First of all, Honorable Speaker, we need to go on record and reiterate to the country and to all members here that all of us are in full support of devolution. All of us are 100% in support of devolution. Number one. Number two, devolution was supposed to change the lives and welfare of the people in the grassroots. Number three, devolution was not supposed to be a cost center to the National Treasury entirely. Devolved functions or devolved units were not supposed to remain to be dependent wholly on the National Treasury. They were supposed to generate their own revenue to complement or supplement whatever they get from the National Treasury. Honorable Speaker, members of Parliament are not in any way part of the executive that implements any projects at all. Honorable Speaker, we have given the counties now 387 billion from the 380 that had been passed with amendment bill after the Gen Z demonstrations. Honorable Speaker, the county governments up to this moment have not demonstrated that they are also sharing the burden of reduced revenue of this country. These counties have not demonstrated, Honorable Speaker, that what measures, austerity measures, have they put in place to ensure that they live in the reality of the modern times. The county governments have not even made any efforts to make sure that the funds they receive, the equitable share they receive, actually supports them to improve own source revenue. We were given documents, we were given reports, Honorable Speaker, data by the Parliamentary Budget Office, that indeed, yes, own source revenue has been increasing over time, but probably at a lower percentage as expected. So it's a call upon the county governments in all cadre that they must improve on the existing systems for the purposes of improving own source revenue. Honorable Speaker, we could plug the deficit. We could plug the deficit that is so-called that they are talking about. There is a lot of potential. Honorable Speaker, how do you explain that Nairobi County would still depend on National Treasury, yet the source of revenue for Nairobi County is boundless, is massive? Can we curb on corruption? Honorable Speaker, I have seen the President's speech addressed to the National State of the Nation. The emphasis on corruption. We never intended to devolve corruption. When we devolved systems, we expected the county governments to work. Honorable Speaker, when we go to the constituencies, and I must testify here, since today morning, Honorable Speaker, I have received 5 calls from my constituencies looking for money to pay medical bills. Some for delivery in maternity, some for basic malaria, some for fractures, some for basic ailments. So I keep on asking them, how come the county government has got devolved funds on health? They collect some user charges. Where does the money go to? Honorable Speaker, sometimes it is frustrating. Indeed, it's frustrating. And I think its time has come. We need to call county governments to order. We never give them money.
And while you're at it calling them to order, it's always useful to have the name of the hospital in the handset.
Honorable Speaker, as I stand here today, on Monday, today, I have had to send money to bail out to pay a bill at Busia County Referral Hospital. As I speak, Honorable Speaker, there is a patient stranded in a village called Busijo who fractured. When he went to the county government hospital, he was asked to raise 150,000 so that they can undertake surgery. They are saying SHA or Taifa Care does not apply in respect of implant. So they expect me as an MP with my meager income to pay for that kind of expenditure, Honorable Speaker. Yet we appropriate funds here to go to the county and literally solve problems of medical care. We must, as a country, and I want you guys who sit on the government side, honestly speaking, call these governors, you are in good books with them, plead with them that we members of parliament are suffering. We are suffering. Honorable Speaker, as we speak, in many schools in the country, there are no ECD classrooms. The classrooms that we built through CDF is where they have to partition grade 1 and pre-unit. Yet, every year, millions and billions, 387 billion is going to go there. But, Honorable Speaker, I can tell you, and I want to echo the sentiment of Majority Leader, by this time next year, the impact of the 387 billion will be hardly noticeable in the this country. Yet the 30 billion allocated to CDF will be seen and felt all over. Probably must start asking ourselves a question. Did we make a mistake on devolution? No, we did not make a mistake on devolution. We need to have a mentality change, Honorable Speaker. We need to have a mentality change. Otherwise, Honorable Speaker, 90% of the Kenyans, if you asked them, they would even call for scrapping of county governments so that the money can actually be channeled through CDF with better checks and balances because it's accountable. We need, Honorable Speaker, and want to call upon the Office of the Auditor General. The Office of the Auditor General, that's where the weakest link is. We need to be thorough in the audit of these books of accounts prepared by the various county governments. We want to call upon the control of budget. It's not good enough to go on lamenting in public, yet her office approves illegal and unlawful expenditure that do not end up supporting the local mwananchi on the ground. Finally, Honorable Speaker, we want to make it very clear that the RLMF is not MP's money. CDF is not MP's money. RLF undertakes roads that many times are allocated to Kera, and some even belongs to the county governments. The county governments deliberately neglects to fix those roads. And yet, these are wananchi. The mwananchi will come and tell you, Honorable Member of Parliament, mimi sijui kama mimi ni mtu wa devolved function ama ni mtu mimi wa Kenya. All they know, they are Kenyans, they deserve services regardless where the money is coming from. As we support, Honorable Speaker, we want to call them to exercise prudent management of the resources. Otherwise, then, Honorable Speaker, it will keep on casting doubts to those who continuously doubt the efficacy and the usefulness of county governments. With those remarks, Honorable Speaker, I support.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Baringo, Honorable Chamatian. Oh, sorry. I know, apologies, Member for Baringo. Let me allow Honorable Osoro, because I know he needs to go and do his other real job.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity also to support the report, the mediation report by the Mediation Committee, Honorable Speaker, as proposed by the chairperson, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, even as we support this report, there is something that we also need to ponder as a House. And even first of all, Honorable Speaker, it's also important for us to guide the members of the public that this is a procedure. There has been a misconception out there that members of parliament are sitting on the county funds, or rather they are fighting the county governments or devolution by not really being able to allocate funds to the counties, Honorable Speaker. That is misleading, and it's a misconception, Honorable Speaker. Because people should know that this is a report. I mean, this is a process where Article 113, Honorable Speaker, of the Constitution directs and guides us that where the bicameral parliament of the Senate and the National Assembly, Honorable Speaker, have divergent views in terms of allocation of these funds, then a mediation committee is formed to fit this purpose. So those people who've been moving around, Honorable Speaker, slandering and telling lies to the members of the public that the honorable members of parliament are fighting devolution are misleading the members of public. But even then, Honorable Speaker, we live in very interesting times. The county government seeking to have 400 billion is not a bad idea because, after all, Honorable Speaker, we passed this constitution that we have devolved units get a good amount of money to have the resources taken back to the villages or back to Mwananchi, back to the counties, Honorable Speaker. That is not a bad thing. But also, we also need to live in reality. We need to live in reality of time. We need to live and be practical of what happens, what is happening in the country. We all live in this country and know the status of our economy. Know very well that upon what happened in June, Honorable Speaker, when we passed the finance bill here, then it clearly means that we couldn't meet our revenue target, Honorable Speaker, and it couldn't be practically possible to allocate the counties all the funds that they wanted, Honorable Speaker. So this committee has really tried and overstretched themselves to even raise it to such an amount at 24% to raise it at 387 billion, Honorable Speaker. But even then, we then need to ponder ourselves and sit and ask ourselves these very pertinent questions, Honorable Speaker. Where does this money go to? It is going to the counties. It is not the first time these funds are going to the counties. Every county has received funds, all since 2013, Honorable Speaker, to date. But where does this money go to, Honorable Speaker? Where does it go to? It is the President the other day, Honorable Speaker, and in copying the Honorable Oudo's words, Honorable Speaker, the President was here while reading his speech. He talked about corruption. If there is a place that we need to fight corruption, it's actually in the county governments. If there is a place there is high level of corruption that is massaged, that is, I mean, we have created demigods, Honorable Speaker, in the name of their excellencies. It's a very bad thing. That you move from county to county, you'll hear very unique problems, Honorable Speaker. Where is this obsession of them even fighting for fuel levy coming from? That you've got it, you have enough, you have money, you have some counties receive up to 13 billion. This is now, we are talking about 307 billion in the entire country for under the shared revenue, but you are again here fighting for RMLF, which is less than 10 billion. I mean, what kind of gluttonous mindset is this, Honorable Speaker? This is pure greed. You're all over going to court and saying, these members of parliament are getting 100 million. I mean, really. And majority leader, Honorable Speaker, and spoke very well and stated facts that when you go to their compounds, Honorable Speaker, they have 12 bodyguards guarding their homes. Then they have guys carrying rungus in the name of they are called, in the name of Kanjo, Honorable Speaker. I mean, they are guarding them. So Raia can hardly reach them. So all those problems are taken to members of parliament who only have one bodyguard, Honorable Speaker, and by the operations, by facts of our operations in terms of our duties, Honorable Speaker, we are ever with the people. So these guys walk around with so many people. Raia can hardly reach them to explain to them their problems. I mean, there are no medicines in hospitals, Honorable Speaker. They are now sabotaging every health system. They cannot build classrooms, Honorable Speaker. I even had one governor, Honorable Speaker, close to in my county, bragging that the KTRH, the Kisi Teaching and Referral Hospital, makes 247 million in a quarter. Really? You are bragging that you are making 247 million in a quarter in a hospital that does not have drugs, in a hospital that does not have doctors, enough personnel, in a hospital that people are dying. I mean, really, why are people attracting cases, Honorable Speaker? I mean, let's ask ourselves this question, Honorable Speaker. Why would one person need 20 vehicles following him, to a function, to a body of function that does not belong to him, does not belong to his relative? 20 vehicles. One carrying a chair, another one carrying a carpet, another one carrying goons, another one carrying a girlfriend, another one carrying water, another one carrying a toilet, Honorable Speaker. How this toilet, is their toilet special? Honorable Speaker, this is very painful. Kenyans are suffering. Kenyans are suffering under this devolution. The intention of devolution, Honorable Speaker, was to help. The intention of devolution, Honorable Speaker, was to help and devolve functions back to the villages. But today, professionals or professions are being killed. Doctors who've gone to school for several years cannot even get promotions. They are being frustrated when they raise issues in their, through their society groups and their, through their unions, Honorable Speaker. They are threatened. They are fired. They are transferred. I know of one doctor, Honorable Speaker, who is a dentist, Honorable Speaker, because they couldn't agree with the governor, Honorable Speaker, over the affairs, because she sits in a union. I mean, he sits in a union, Honorable Speaker. He was transferred to a village clinic, Honorable Speaker, to a dispensary where he can't practice his practice. He can't do his dental work, Honorable Speaker, just because it questioned the governor over the operations of the county. Honorable Speaker, it is very painful. It is sad. It is very, very sad. Some are actually building their offices, taking a lot of money. Some have even abandoned their offices. They are working from the stadiums. Others have converted their homes to be small state houses where they hold meetings until night. It is a sad situation. And we are calling upon the EACC, even as we seek to approve the nominee for the CEO position, that it is about time you start arresting some of these governors. It is about time you start arresting some of these thieves in the name of their excellencies. In fact, those terms do not belong to them. Those are their excellency thieves, Honorable Speaker. There is no other better term we can call those guys, because we are sending 307 billion, but you'll need a microscope to see what it does. You will need a microscope to see a classroom. You'll need a microscope to identify an ECD class. It is a sad situation. I speak with a lot of pain, Honorable Speaker, because we have seen how people are suffering in the villages. We've seen what they do, Honorable Speaker, is to use this money to pay goons. They draw this money, some from their own source revenue, to pay goons, to attend functions, to clap for them. What kind of silly attitude is this? It is just too bad, Honorable Speaker, but I beg to support the report. I hope they will be arrested someday. I just hope they will be arrested someday. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Baringa, what's your point of information? Honorable.
Our whip has really put it very well. You are not on record.
Honorable Speaker, the whip has just spoken very eloquently about how these governors show opulence and even actually running in convoy.
You're on a point of information. Just give us the information.
Yeah, he had mentioned about, I heard him talking about, he had seen some governors traveling in a convoy about 50, 60. I just want to inform you that there was a video going around about the governor of Narok going in a convoy about 700 cars using public money to go and open a project being funded by a partner called Amref. That is our governance for you, Madam Speaker. Yes. 700 cars.
Honorable Chematia, proceed.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. From the onset, I want to support this report on division of revenue. And I must say, it took time for the two houses to conclude this report, but it is one report that is going to give counties a reprieve at these trying times and very hard economic times. Madam Speaker, I also sit in the budget, and I am aware that in June this year, we were not able to pass our finance bill as needed for us to do it. And that has shown a lot of deficit, specifically in management of revenues and monies that goes to the counties. I want to say, in my opinion, the drafters of the Constitution had a lot of hope. But at the same time, they also didn't have proper information on how should we elect our governors. Madam Speaker, the money is not a problem. Today we have agreed through the division of revenue that 387 billion is going to be dispersed to the counties. This money, I want to pray that we are going to be able to collect, and we are able to disperse this money within good time, so that the counties will be able to deliver services. But I think, just like most of members have said, we got it wrong from the onset. The mode of electing our governors. These are managers of counties. I don't think it was good for the Constitution to subject governors to elections. Because subjecting them to elections means it is the competition versus the resources that someone has. So we were not able to get the quality governors to govern and help the counties, specifically the far-fledged counties. If you ask me, governors should be probably appointees. They should be appointed, and most likely they don't have to come from the locality. These are people who should have the proper career to manage resources. Today, what we are crumbling is the level of incompetence of governors. If you look at the first governors who came in, most of them tried to put structures and to create the functioning of the counties. And subsequently, the second and the third have a lot of imbalances. And it's because we subject them back to elections. And to be a governor in Kenya today, no one uses minimally less than 50 million. I want to ask, even if today we are crying here because we don't have money, and we are complaining about the services that the governors are not giving to the people, I want to say it is the way we introduce these counties. Also, the number of counties in this country is too many. 47 counties is so much that sometimes you wonder whether we need a village. It's almost like, because we are creating counties on tribal, like Kisii County, we have Turkana County, that is giving that proper corruption to thrive. Because if I am a governor and my locality is, and everyone who is within the locality is my tribe, most likely I will employ probably a relative. The people who help me to campaign are the ones who are going to be the forefront to make sure that they have been employed. And most of them are not always qualified. So we ended up creating small dynasties that is so much embezzling the resources of the people. And more so, it was very wrong for us, through the Constitution, to devolve sectors like health, or basic education. That is where it's a day-to-day life survival. You go to in my district hospital, county hospital, Baringo, barely a week when we were having an event in Baringo, there was nothing in the hospital. You cannot even find a shelf of drugs. And the doctors are always on strike. So there's a problem. Whether we, and these counties, most of these counties also, Madam Speaker, don't have any revenue. Or even if they do, they collect on source revenue, it is very little money. And if it is there, because of the wage bill, the bloated, every governor comes in, he puts 100 people in payroll. The first one, the second one, so there are a lot of layers of people who most of them are ghost workers. At the end of the day, we are just supervising. These people are supervising incompetence, corruption, and lack of services in the counties. I want to imagine, even if you are the best president in this country, as long as we still have these counties behaving this way, and the same way of how we are electing these governors, because once you are a governor today, and for you to come back, you use probably 3 times the amount you used before. So at the end of the day, I will be going in as a governor. The first thing I will do is to save for me to come back. And at the end of the day, we definitely impede with the services in the county. So, Madam Speaker, as I support all the disbursement of the money, I want to reiterate, the money is not a problem. It is the management of the resources that goes to the county. We also need counties to give us ways like investing in industrialization, ways to generate more income so that they are able to be sustainable and keep the services and provide proper services, specifically health and agriculture. It was also very unfortunate for us to develop agriculture and education, for instance. So in ECD, if you are very keen in Kenya today, for most of us who went to school a long time ago, there is a lot of a very distinct comparison of a child who is between class 1 and probably class 4 in the village. They are not able to read. So the literacy level is so high because the quality of education, the teachers that teaches these children are from the village. ECDs are taught probably, and they are not paid well. So that way, it actually impedes the quality that we give to our children. And this is the foundation of our nation. Otherwise, I want to say, as much as we devolve this money, we want to encourage that we need to retrospect and think on how we are going to manage the resources that goes to the counties. And also help governors to understand that the society is now devolved. And everything that happens in the county automatically reflects everywhere in the country. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Caroli Omondi, member for Suba South.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I'm very thrilled by the passion I'm witnessing amongst members on this particular issue. But my observation is very simple. All the bad habits we see in the counties have actually been transplanted from the national government. I think we are doing an introspection of ourselves as a country. While I support devolution, and I'm happy to see that at least additional 7 billion is being disbursed to them, let's just take some examples so that you understand where I'm coming from. Recently, I'm aware of a county where the speaker was actually removed from office. They pretended he had lost confidence of the members of the county assembly. The reality is he did not have the necessary academic qualifications to hold the job of a speaker. And I'm sure in this House and in Parliamentary Service Commission, I think we have similar cases. So there's nothing new that the governors or the lower cadre of people are doing in the counties that we are not doing up here. Cronism. It is very common. You go to counties, people employ their relatives, their friends. It happens. In the national government, it happens here. Tribalism. The Constitution requires that every county, 30% should be non-residents of that area. How many of us have tried to hold our governors accountable to that? At least I'm happy to report my constituency manager is a man from Kisiland. Inflated cost of projects. We are buying information management software for our health sector at 104 billion, something that can be developed by university students. It's the same thing in the counties. There's no difference. Misprocurement. We are not following our procurement laws at the national level. So they are copying us. They are doing the same thing everybody's doing. Absence of accountability. I was once at a function and somebody very senior whispered to me that you see all these governors in front of us. If it was not for some intervention, they would all have been charged. And there were 6 governors right in front of us. And I was in shock. It's the same. Absence of accountability. Governors amuse me. Whenever I meet them, apart from what our majority whip has said, they also work with cheer gangs. I'm told there's a budget called hospitality and public participation in most of our counties. That is where the money is taken to finance cheering squads and to finance goons. So a governor walks into a funeral, the tent is almost brought down, the coffin is almost knocked down, and you're wondering, what kind of, where did these people even go to school? What was their upbringing? They sit on the chairs, they knock out everybody, they have no respect. I mean, it is saddening, but it is the same. Some of us do that as leaders. Theft. I have it on record. A former governor set up a revenue collection system from Eastern Province, but the money was being collected in Suba. These so-called online M-Pesa things, pay bills. Governors do that. They set a revenue collection system, money is paid in their counties, but the discounting is done elsewhere and the money remitted to them. I mean, this is just a reflection of who we are as a country. So, but let me go to more substantive issues. While I support this, Madam Speaker, if you look at the report, we are using 2020-2021 audited accounts. In other words, we are 3 years behind. The Constitution, Article 2032, is very clear that it should be the latest, it should be revenue of each financial year. Even though we have the flexibility under Article 2033 sub 3, that it should be the last audited accounts. When you're disbursing money to counties 3 years behind the last financial year, you're basically starving them of money because revenues are projected to continuously grow. So you're not giving them the realistic revenue which they should get. I think there's a problem, and I think we need to look at it. I once talked about it here. As a budget committee, I think our members there should figure out what is it that we need to do to have recent audited accounts being, if for not that year, but for the last year, not 3 years behind, because the figures are different. Secondly, delayed disbursements. If you look at our Constitution, Article 203, again J, sub J, we are supposed to enable county governments discharge their functions efficiently and effectively. We are not giving them money on time. In other words, how can they plan and implement their projects on time? I think there's some work we need to do there as National Assembly. On-source revenues. Most governors will be very proud to announce they've raised $1 billion. They'll be very proud to announce we've increased our on-source revenue. But no one ever tells you what that money did. They never tell you. And I think as Parliament, we need to come up with a system where we incentivize improved collection of revenues, but also we create accountability as to how that revenue is utilized.
What's your point of order, Honorable Kiplagat? It better be a genuine point
Yeah, it's
of
a genuine. I'm raising on a point of order. You know, this house is a house of records. And the honorable member who is contributing is a senior lawyer. I wish he could have seen the report that what we are giving to counties is around 24%, which is above the stipulated constitutionally 15%. So to allege that by delaying by 3 years in the audited accounts, we are giving them less, I think that is quite,
so it's a
quite
point
out of order.
information.
Yeah.
Okay. You may proceed. You're properly informed.
You know, it is very simple mathematics. 15%, your 24% has 15% in it. The 15% of 3 years ago is not the 15% of today. It is very simple, my friend. It is as simple as that. Again, this is mischief. We will transfer it to the county government. Misinformation. 15% of 3 years ago, when the revenues were maybe 2 trillion, is not the 15% of today, when the revenues are 2.9 trillion. So even if it is 24%, you have not given them what is their fair share. That's what I'm trying to say. But anyway, let me continue. You see, the chairman of the budget committee talked about having realistic revenue targets. Let's be frank. If you wanted to have realistic revenue targets in our budget-making process, you'll have a crisis. Because the debt obligations and the other statutory obligations more or less match the revenue. In other words, you'll not have any number showing that we're having development component of our budget. So you have to stretch the revenues to factor in perceived development, whether it is illusional or not, but it has to be there. That is the reality. So if you want to remove the stretched revenue targets, then you will have a budget that the revenues purely match standard obligations, debt service, and other recurrent expenditure of the government. And I don't think that politically is tolerable. That is why we must have these aspirational revenue targets so that we can accommodate development. That is the reality where we have found ourselves as a country. And the only way to address it is again to deal with corruption, is again to deal with proper audit of our debt schemes and see which debts are real and which ones are not real. There's a lot of work that needs to be done there. But if you reduce our our revenue projections, you will have a budget that matches debt and statutory obligations. And I don't think that will be politically tenable. The other point I would like to raise, I think it is time that this House did two things. One, it is time that we started making our budget, both at national level and at county level, at and capture them at constituency level. So that in every budget, we should show what has been allocated for every constituency, roads, water, health, whatever, all in the constituencies. And then a spreadsheet, which is a high-level summary, is attached to that budget, so that every member here can raise a piece of paper and say, this is what the budget for this year is doing in my constituency. And I'm going to propose an amendment to our laws so that future budgets have that summary by constituency, not by county. Our country is run on constituency basis, 290 of them. So the budget will clearly demonstrate what has been allocated in all the sectors, including projects that are funded by donors and all other projects that we have in that country. Finally, I think it is time that this parliament commissioned a study on what truly is the impact of devolution. What truly has devolution done in terms of resource utilization and impact on the people? Because we are walking blind. We don't know. This thing we've spent, some countries have received 150 billion shillings over the last 10 years. Ask yourself, where has it gone? I think we need, as a house, to commission an independent study that can open our eyes so that we can analyze what changes we need to make on devolution, especially on things like the health sector, like the lady from Baringo has said. Why should doctors be unemployed in a country that does not meet the threshold of doctor-to-patient ratio? In Kenya, doctors are unemployed, and people are not getting medical services. Madam Speaker, finally, we should also interrogate the equalization fund. It is a 20-year fund, but we have a problem. Not all those are eligible for equalization support are receiving them, even within intra-counties. I think we need to look at this because the time remaining is quite short. With those many remarks, I support, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Buri. Honorable Mugambi.
I want to thank you. I just want to join my colleagues from the onset. I support this report. And just like my colleagues have said, Mr. Speaker, it's their time now we start going back again to understanding the difference between the national government and the county government. Why do I say so, Madam Speaker? What I'm seeing is there is increasingly on daily basis the House of the Senate, which is supposed to be oversighting the activities of the county. They have absconded that responsibility in totality. They are now trying to oversight the national government. Mr. Speaker, you'll find on almost every day they are summoning cabinet secretaries, PSs, to answer things that they are not supposed to be answering. And sometimes it's causing a lot of confusion, Madam Speaker. I say this because I am the Vice Chair of Housing. Madam Speaker, there is money that comes through grants. And this money is appropriated by the National Assembly, but spent by the counties. Madam Speaker, when it comes to oversight, the National Assembly has no law to it. Conditional grants, Mr. Speaker, is one area that there is a lot of misuse of money by the county government, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, at the moment, there is no governor who is being bashed right, left, and center on the SHA and SHIF health services. Mr. Speaker, health services are devolved. And Madam Speaker, the money has already been channeled for health sector. But when you go to the dispensaries, Madam Speaker, there are no drugs. Even some dispensaries and health centers are not operating, Madam Speaker. The level 2 to level 4 hospitals are supposed to be managed by the counties. Where does this money go? Madam Speaker, when we hear the county government talking and wanting more money, I think we must ask our senators before they start trying to oversight the national government. They need to tell us how the money that have been appropriated by this National Assembly is being spent, Madam Speaker. The same story goes to agriculture. It is only the president and the national government that seems to be answering the questions on food security. Yet we know the money that the governors have been given, there is the high portion on agriculture. It's the right time now we say, let everybody take responsibility of the money they have been allocated to do. What the national government is trying to do on health, agriculture, and the services like water and education, on the basic education, is a complementary responsibility. And I want to thank His Excellency the President that he hasn't taken a backseat in terms of health services, education, agriculture, and trying to find that they need to work together with the county government. Mr. Speaker, the biggest budget of the counties, is on recurrent expenditures, employment. And this is ballooning on yearly basis. When a new governor comes in, comes with their own ways, with their own demands. Madam Speaker, I think we really need to challenge our governors and the counties. There's a lot of talk that we are generating a lot of revenue from the county. I quite honestly can only...
What's your point of order, Honorable Nyamai?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I did not want to interfere with the nice contribution by the senior member, but I would like to ask you, listening to the members from both sides, I'm standing on standing order number 95, that the mover be called to reply. Both sides of the aisle, Honorable Speaker, we seem to be agreeing on this motion, and bearing in mind that it is a mediated version, I ask you, Honorable Speaker, that you call upon the mover to reply. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, but I think I'll allow Honorable Mugambi just finish. Yeah, then we can move on to get the mover to reply.
I thank you, Madam Speaker. This is a very emotive issue, Madam Speaker. All what we are saying is that we are agreeing. And when we agree on mediated version of the bill, then the county government should not move again and try to coerce this National Assembly and the national government to agree on other side kicks, like what they are doing on national government, CDF. Now they have come to the sector of fuel. Madam Speaker, I had a teleconversation with the young people of my constituency the day before yesterday. And one of the issues that these people are asking me, what is happening in the road sector? What is happening in the education sector? What is happening in the agricultural sector, in the water sector? And they are telling me as far as they know, what they need is services. But I am telling them, yes, services are delivered through revenue. And so I'm impressing on them that there is money that is under the national government, and there's money that the governors are given. So in as much as that you are saying the president should react to this, the president cannot take responsibility 100%. So let's share responsibilities. And that's why I'm telling the governors, you must start contributing to the development of this country. The only money that is known on loans is Kera loans, 22%, 10%. So, Madam Speaker, if they take this and whatever they have, they cannot even manage. They cannot even produce evidence of performance in every constituency. And I agree with the Honorable Wakil who have just spoken. I think we need to have budget done on constituency basis. And we need to call out civic education so that people can know the responsibilities of the national government and the responsibility of the county government, Madam Speaker. So, with those few remarks, Madam, it is so sickening. It is true. We need to now take a step back and start asking. And I encourage Kenyan to continue asking questions. We should tell Kenya to continue asking questions. They should not only ask the national government questions. Let them start questioning their governors. Because I think that's one of the problems that we have in this country. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. I now call upon the mover to reply.
Honorable Speaker,
Honorable members, let me now put the question that the mover be called to reply. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. You may now proceed, Honorable Oundo, on behalf of the chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I stand on behalf of the chairperson to reply. As I reply, Honorable Speaker, let me take this opportunity to our colleagues who have gotten time to comment on this amendment bill and probably just pick out the mediated version, pick out a few salient issues that need to be very clear. One, Honorable Speaker, there's a general concern the funds going to the counties are not being prudently and properly utilized, and thus I hope that has been very clear to Commission of Revenue Allocation, then Control of Budget, the Office of Auditor Accounts General, and the SEC, that we need to make devolution work. Honorable Speaker, of course, the issue of the delayed disbursement also keeps on featuring and becomes a moving point wherever there is. But that cannot offset the lack of accountability and prudent use. Honorable Speaker, with those many remarks, I move to reply.
Honorable Meli, what's your point of order?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise on standing order number 3 that the motion be seconded by when a motion has been moved, it is necessary to seconded. The Speaker shall propose the question thereon in the same terms as the motion. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, what's your point of order? What's your point of order, Honorable DK?
Madam Speaker, I think Honorable Senior Member Honorable Meli has come a bit late because we are through with debating. It is time to put the question, and I am seeing him quoting issues of proposing the question. So I think it's completely out of order.
Did you want to propose that we defer the question? Proceed.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think the member for Soy didn't hear what did I say, that because of, I would request that as per standing order 53.3, you defer, that we don't put, we don't call for putting the question. Thank you. No, that's you are not in order. I also propose.
Thank you. I think it's obvious that we'll put the question at a later time. So let's move to the next order.
Order number 13, Committee of the Whole House, the Coffee Bill, Senate Bill number 10 of 2023.
Order members, we are in the Committee of the Whole House to consider the Coffee Bill, Senate Bill number 10 of 2023. As you may be aware, we went up to clause 10, so we are starting from clause 11.
Clause 11.
I propose the question that clause 11 be part of the bill. Mover, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I propose that clause 11 be amended as per the order paper. Honorable Chair, this amendment is basically to take care of several issues, and one of them is provide for easy access to information collected and collated and maintained by the board. Also, to ensure that research is used for market penetration and not just for branding. Also, introducing digital market platform as a mode of marketing, and also broaden the consultation to all the licensing authorities involved. Honorable Chair, you realize that the bill, as it were before, did not look into the options that are available in the digital space. So we are introducing that digital marketing. And also the final thing that we wanted to introduce, the committee proposed to introduce in this case, is also to ensure that stakeholders in the coffee sector
engage in consultation. I submit, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Chair. I propose the question that clause 11 be amended as proposed by the Chair. I now put the question that clause 11 be amended as proposed by the Chair. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Members, you have an amendment by the Honorable Ondo. So amendment by the Honorable Ondo was dropped. So I now put the question that clause 11 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 12.
I propose the question that clause 12 be part of the bill. Chairman, Agriculture.
Honorable Chair, I propose that clause 12 be amended as per the under paper. This is because we need to ensure that the persons co-opted in the subcommittees of the board are quantified in terms of numbers for a specific period of time. We need to be sure that they are also dispensed of upon exhaustion of the issue at hand. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Whoever wants to contribute to this, please go to the intervention button. I now propose the question that clause 12 be amended as proposed by the Chair. I do not see any interest in this, so I now put the question that clause 12 as amended clause 12 be amended as proposed by the Chair. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 12 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 13.
I propose the question that clause 13 be part of the bill. There be no amendment. I now put the question that clause 13 be part of the bill. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 14.
I propose the question that clause 14 be part of the bill. Amendment by the chairperson. You may proceed, Honorable Mutunga.
Honorable Chair, clause 13, I propose that clause 13 be amended as per the under paper. Clause 14,
for the record,
sorry, clause
Chair,
14.
Chair, for the record, it is clause 14.
Yes, I propose that clause 14 be amended as per the under paper, Honorable Chair. The reason being that the initial proposal in the bill was that the salaries be determined, or the salaries and remunerations be determined by the CS in consultation with the Salaries and Remunerations Commission. But we know that there is a commission which does that work. So we are aligning the determination, or we are bestowing the power to determine to the Salaries and Remuneration Commission.
Thank you, Chairman. And I now put the question that clause 14 be amended as proposed by the Chair. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 14 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 15.
I propose the question that clause 15 be part of the bill. Chair, Agriculture and Livestock, Honorable Mutunga, proceed.
Honorable Chair, I propose that clause 15 be amended as per the under paper. Honorable Chair, the committee took a decision to have the qualifying credentials for the CEO to be a minimum of a master's degree, because there are very many Kenyans who have gone to school. We don't have to stick to a first degree. And then these are also very challenging.
I propose the question that clause 15 be amended as proposed by the chairman. Yes, Honorable Sukuli?
I really don't object, although when you look at, other than adding the master's degree, I think we should, in future, avoid mentioning the fields, because a person who is qualified with a master's degree, even in engineering, can still, because this is discriminating other professions. We have done that before, and I think it's not good to limit. You have not traveled far enough, but that's just my comment on this.
Thank you, though you said that you do not oppose. Thank you very much. I give a chance to the Honorable Meli, member for Tinderet.
Thank you.
Make the comments brief, Chair.
Yes, Madam Speaker, I want to say that this proposal by Honorable Chair for the committee, we did deliberate in the 12th Parliament on this particular issue. it is important to be specific in the fields, because management in coffee, management in running an institution has to have a bias either in agriculture and to make sure that the sector grows well. So if this particular amendment is quite in order, Madam Speaker, so that if you leave it not specific, it will not be good in the running of the coffee sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Meli. I now put the question that clause 15 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 15 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clauses 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22.
I propose the question that clause 16 to clause 22 be part of the bill. And there be no amendment, I now put the question that clause 16 to 22 be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 23.
I propose the question that clause 23 be part of the bill. Chair, Agriculture.
Honorable Chair, I propose that clause 23 be amended as per the order paper. The reason being that we are aligning the consultations to be with the county governments and not county executive committee members. Honorable Chair, we would like national government to deal with the county governments directly.
Thank you, Chair. I propose the question that clause 23 be amended as proposed by the Chair. Honorable members, I don't see any interest on that, so I now put the question that clause 23 be amended as proposed by the Chair. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 23 be amended as proposed by the Chairman. Will as many as of that opinion? I put the question that clause 23 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 24.
I propose the question that clause 24 be part of the bill. Chair, Honorable Mutunga.
Honorable Chair, I propose that clause 24 be amended as per the order paper. The reason being that we need to, the committee took the decision to improve on uniformity of legislation in the coffee-growing county government. In the coffee-growing county governments.
Thank you, Chair. I propose the question that clause 24 be amended as proposed by the Chair. Honorable Dorothy Kiara.
Thank you, Chair. I support this amendment because it's important that there is uniformity in the registrations for ease of governance. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I now put the question that clause 24 be amended as proposed by the Chair. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 24 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 25.
I propose the question that clause 25 be part of the bill. Chairperson. Honorable Mutunga.
Honorable Chair, I propose that clause 25 be amended as per the order paper. The reason being that you need to provide for consultations at the national level with county governments. As I said earlier, we have amended the entire bill to make sure that county government consult with the national government instead of county executive members.
Thank you, Chair. I propose the question that clause 25 be amended as proposed by the Chair. I now put the question that clause 25 be amended as proposed by the Chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honorable members, we have an amendment within the same clause by the Honorable Oundo. Please proceed.
Honorable Chair, I beg that the bill be amended as indicated in the order paper, and the Honorable Speaker, in the same vein as has put it, instead of using county executive committee member, we should use the licensing authority, which is the county government, as provided for in clause 2. So that we remove the discretion of having the county executive member making that decision. That's amendment to subclause 3. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, I propose the question that clause 25 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Oundo. Chair? Do I give you the first opportunity for this? Member for Gishogo? Honorable Member for Gishogo?
Yes, thank you. I support that amendment, and I believe now that the chair's amendment had already been carried, then it means that Honorable Undo is basically in agreement with the chair's amendment.
Chairman?
Honorable Chair, that amendment is agreeable because there are three licensing authorities: the county government, the board, and the capital markets authority. So even if it says licensing authority, it is synonymous.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, I now put the question that clause 25 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Ondo. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 25 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 26.
I propose the question that clause 26 be part of the bill. Chair, Agriculture.
Honorable Chair, I propose that the clause 26 be amended as per the under paper. The import of this particular amendment is to ensure that the county government gives statistical information to the board so that the board becomes the custodian of all the information.
Thank you, Chair. I propose the question that clause 26 be amended as proposed by the Chair. I now put the question that clause 26 be amended as proposed by the Chair. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 26 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 27.
I propose the question that clause 27 be part of the bill. Chair.
Honorable Chair, I propose that clause 27 be amended as per the under paper. The import of this amendment is to ensure that county government submit copies of registers to the board annually.
Thank you, Chair. I propose the question that clause 27 be amended as proposed by the Chair. I now put the question that clause 27 be amended as proposed by the Chair. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 27 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 28.
I propose the question that clause 28 be part of the bill. Chair, Agriculture.
Honorable Chair, I propose that clause 28 be amended as per the under paper. The reason being that we need to ensure that licenses or permits are not granted unconditionally. So we are putting conditions, so it should be within the existing laws. We also want to ensure that we delete administrative provisions that can be captured in the regulations.
Thank you, Chair. I propose the question that clause 28 be amended as proposed by the Chair.